As this is being recorded, I'm live. It's about midnight. I've been streaming for 13 hours, and I'm also still very drunk. So please keep that in mind. The results of this midterm election are not in yet. We do, however, have enough information to conclusively determine that the results were more favorable to Democrats than expected. It seems decently likely that Democrats might maintain the House. There are even people bold enough to claim, that the Democrats might maintain the Senate. There are even people bold enough to claim the Democrats might even have a 50-50 shot at claiming the House, though I don't necessarily believe that. Whatever the results of this election are, there are some very important things that I want to convey to you. Moore v. Harper is the Supreme Court case that will be heard soon and ruled on some time from then. It will determine the Supreme Court's opinion on the independent state legislator theory. You see, the Constitution, ever vague, appoints to the state legislators the ability to decide how local elections are conducted. In our federalized system, it is, after all, the states that decide how federal elections are conducted, House, Senate, and ways in which the Electoral College electors cast their votes. If the independent state legislator doctrine is validated by the conservative Supreme Court, and it seems very likely that it will be, that would give state legislators the ability to, with essentially no oversight or regulation, decide how their states conduct their elections, both local and federal. The majority of state legislators are Republican-controlled. There are many signs which indicate that these Republican legislators would skew the rules within their state to favor Republican outcomes in local and federal elections. This would be the end of American democracy. There are enough Republican legislator-controlled states to ensure that Republicans would be able to maintain a consistent lead in both the Senate and the House, and in the presidency through the use of their electors. This is game over. At the very least, it's game over in the plan to prevent outright anti-democratic fascism from taking control of the country. You might note that what I'm referring to right now, Moore v. Harper, has nothing to do with the midterm elections. And that's because it doesn't. What happens this election might not end up mattering, save the fact that it could buy us some time. If Democrats perform well in the 2022 midterm election, it might give us an additional 2 years. Denying the Republicans control over the legislature would give us a little bit more time to fully understand the nature of the threat we face and to prepare for the worst-case scenario. I usually try to aim a little bit more optimistic than this, but I'm trying to shoot straight here. So let me be clear. The possible long-term negative consequences of this direction are catastrophic. I strongly recommend to anyone watching this who feels they might be threatened by an anti-democratic Republican government, please keep your passport renewed. It's a good idea. I don't mean in the future. I mean now. I mean next morning before you go to work. Look up the rules for renewing your passport and do it right now. Try to save money as best as you can. I do not lightly recommend austerity, But if possible, I say as I am drunk, cut back on marijuana, cut back on alcohol, cut back on pleasures, because money that you might want to spend today, you might need to spend in the future. Please understand that what I'm saying right now is an expression of thoughts that have been dancing in my head for months, if not years. I am choosing to express them now, not frivolously, not errantly, but because I think it's necessary and morally responsible for me to do so. Because I think now is the time when it is important for me to be forthcoming about the threat we might face in the future. I will develop on this, expand on these considerations in future videos. But for right now, saving money and keeping your passport up to date are two must-dos. Do not delay on these. I don't know how the future is going to play out. If the Democrats do well during the midterms, then I'm heartened by the additional time that we've been given. But unfortunately, the rot at the heart of this country is substantial enough that I do not have faith in the Democratic establishment to meaningfully address it. Maybe I am wrong. Maybe things don't play out that poorly. I can't see the future, after all. But it doesn't hurt to prepare. Sometimes the most radical thing you can do is survive the worst times, after all. I'm sure this isn't the message that you wanted to see, given the unexpectedly good performance of the Democrats. But you must remember that we are buying naught but time. And it has always been the errant mistake of the liberal to mistake temporary electoral gains for broader cultural hegemony. Like the liberal who believed that racism was done for because Barack Obama was voted into the presidency. Or the liberal in the Weimar Republic who believed that because Berlin was the center of cultural liberalism in Europe, that it was immune to fascism. You shouldn't be complacent, and that is, of course, why I recommend caution. Passport, money. Do what you can. Thank you.